tracking these 5 crucial metrics in your business, then I can guarantee that you're leaving thousands, tens of thousands, and possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars right on the table. Welcome back to Talk with Olena podcast. And today, in this short episode, I'm going to unpack 5 key metrics that you should be tracking in your business. So let's run through it. Metric number 1, you need to track every single month your visibility. So what that means, I want you to know exactly the number on how visible you are in each calendar month of your business. So what that can mean views or reach on your videos, on your posts. That can mean number of events or presentations that you're doing in any given month. That can mean anything really that indicates that new people that didn't know about you yesterday actually got to know about you today or this month, and how many of those people or new people got to know about you, right? So when we're talking about social media, usually it's just honestly as simple as tracking your views or reach, right? Literally how many times your posts, your any kind of social media content appeared in front of people, how many times it appeared in front of them, and how many people it reached. So every single month, you need to track basically your visibility. This is your kind of like top of the funnel, right, of your marketing. How visible you are, how many people in the world know that you exist, and how many people in the world going to know in the future that you exist. So what is the dynamic of your visibility? And unless you're tracking that, unless you know your dynamic of your visibility, is it going down, is it going up, is it staying the same, what are the numbers, unless you know that and you have access to that precise data, you're not going to be able to successfully go kind of like down the funnel to bring your customers, bring your potential clients to really retain your services, right? So that was metric number 1, visibility, super important. Now, metric number 2, that would be your nurturing, your connection, relationships, how activated really your audience is. So what that means, nurturing, basically it means that not every person that saw your post, got to know about you, saw your, I don't know, maybe presentation, saw your video or whatever the your way of marketing, not every person is actually going to develop trust to you and be nurtured enough to really take the next step towards considering um, booking your consultation or even researching what your consultation is, right? Being interested in your services. So, in order for our audience, so people who got to know about us, to be really interested or like start thinking about, okay, I wonder what he or she offers, I wonder what he or she charges for a consultation, I wonder, what kind of services, how they can help me, right? In order for that even train of thought to appear in customers mind, you really need to nurture that. So research shows that in order for the person to get from the point of finding you to the point of actually making a purchase, we need to have at least 28 points of contact with that person. So whether it's 28 times that person needs to see different videos from you, or 28 times that person needs to see different, I don't know, posts or different, they need to interact with you essentially on average 28 times before they make a purchase. So that is called nurturing. So how do we measure nurturing? When we talk about social media, because the reality is that in 2026, most of marketing is really happening online on social media, right? So, and when we talk about social media, nurturing is actually tracking what is your engagement rate. Every platform will show you actually what is your engagement, either number or rate. So what that means, it means how many comments somebody left, how many, or generally your audience left, how many shares, how many times they share your content to other people, how many likes, and so on and so forth. I'll give you a very good example. My very good colleague, who is in my business container program, she had recently, I just randomly checked her TikTok, as I do for all of my mentees, and she had a video that was 5,000 views. That video that was 5,000 views, which by the way for TikTok is not that much. That video was 5,000 views, had 100, actually more than 100 comments under that video. What that means is that even though her visibility in this particular piece of content was not huge, but that content really, really hit somebody's, just like they were like, oh my gosh, they were so activated that there were more than 100 pieces of comments, right? Which is great because it means that you hit the nail on the head, right? You activated people to comment under the video, to share the video to their friends, so that is engagement. And we need to track that. We need to track in every single month what is the engagement either rate or just engagement number for every single platform that you're on. So I'll give you on the flip side another example. I have like one video. I even forget. I think it's just TikTok, and it's like 20,000 views, and there is like one comment. So that means that, okay, that video gave us visibility, but it didn't really like create the relationship or the activation with people. So we do need to see where we're at with both and visibility and nurturing, because we want to make sure that we are hitting those 28 points of contact through customers' journey, through customers' buying journey, right? That 28 points eventually is going to lead us to book consultation, right? So we want to make sure that we're not just posting and hitting numbers. And I can post and hit 1 billion views, but if it doesn't give me any sales, any consultations, then that doesn't help my business, right? So that's why we need to also track the nurturing aspect, which is essentially your engagement in social media. Now, the third metric you need to track is interest. So usually most of people stop with first two. Most of people would see, oh, okay, like that's my views for the month, that's my followers, that's my number of comments and likes, and that's it. And then they just don't track anything else, which is kind of like pointless, right? Because that information by itself doesn't really tell you much unless you also track the interest. So what is the interest? Interest is actually an indicator of how many people were actually interested to book a consultation with you. So how do we measure that? We measure that by number of direct messages that you receive, number of emails that you receive that would say like, hey, I'm interested in your services, I'm interested to book a consultation, and number of times somebody clicks on your link, book a consultation, right? So actually measuring the clicks, how many times somebody clicks on the link, book a consultation. So I'll give you an example. You may have, I don't know, let's just say 100,000 views for the past months. You posted videos, you posted, I don't know, posts, you posted whatever content you posted that you thought that can serve your audience and be truly useful to your audience. And you got 100,000 views. Then out of 100,000 views, maybe you got, I don't know, let's say 10,000 or 8,000 of likes, comments, shares, right? Okay, that's good. And then out of that, you got 100 clicks on book a consultation. So that means that ultimately, byproduct of your marketing is producing, like byproduct of your marketing is 100 clicks, right? So that is very important. And normally people in our industry, or at least I have not met people other than my mentees who are tracking actually what is the interest, how many DMs you're receiving, how many emails you're receiving, how many times somebody clicks on the book your consultation link, and how many people are actually interested, right? So that is very important metric to track. You can track that with like there are different softwares, like you can Google it. It's not very expensive. I think Linktree also does it. We use a different software other than Linktree, but anyways, there are multiple ways how you can track it. But I do think, like on TikTok, for example, it tracks it for you, so you didn't even need to pay anything. But you do want to track that for every platform that you're on, and know the number, like literally know your average number. Okay, how many times, how many clicks do I get on my book a consultation link in any given month? And what is the dynamic of that number, right? And how that number correlates with views, how that number correlates with engagement, like shares, comments, likes, and all of that kind of stuff. How that number can be maybe increased without increasing your posting frequency, right? So your wheels start turning, so you can see how all these metrics work together and how their dynamics are dependent on each other, and how posting more or getting viral posts is actually not always a solution to getting more consultations and more clients. It's not always working like that, but you will not know that unless you track your data. So that was the third one, tracking your interest, with which essentially tracks how many people in any given month is literally interested to book a consultation with you, to the point that they either reach out or they click a link, book a consultation. Now, number four metric, so we're going down the customer journey, right? Number four metric is actually knowing how many consultations you got booked and from which um, sources of marketing those consultations are coming. How many are referrals? How many are, I don't know, TikTok? How many are Instagram? How many, like whatever you're doing for your market, how many came from that webinar? How many came from that collaboration that you did? So how many from each point of marketing? Okay. So that is very important because that will tell you which levers you can use, you can pull to either increase number of consultations or to increase the quality of the consultations, and how you can really control, because you cannot really control referrals, right? So like what, like you can't control that. You cannot control referrals, but you can control absolutely your active marketing, right? Because referrals is not really active marketing. You're not actively doing anything to get referrals most of the times. But it's really important to know in any given month how many consultations you have booked. Most of people, again, very basic, but they don't know. They actually don't know how many consultations you have booked in every single month. And then the fifth metric, that is the deal breaker, and that's the most important metric. I mean, all of them are very important because all of them are working together, right? But number five is the most important metric, is out of the consultations that you have booked. So let's say you have 20 consultations booked. The question is, how many out of those 20 consultations are actually from clients, from individuals that you would be happy to sign retainer agreement with today? So I call them green consultations. So basically, I have something in my business and among my mentees, something that we all implement is tracking all our paid consultations and really dividing them into three groups. Green consultations are from individuals with the cases that we would love to accept today. So that would be express entry, 500 points plus or 520 points plus, or whatever the cutoff at that given moment. Like French speakers with good express entry profiles. There would be spousal sponsorship applications. That would be, so potentially, like hypothetically, if that person were to say, you know what, I'm just gonna hire you today, the question is, would you accept that retainer? Because you can agree with me, right? Is that you probably will not accept a retainer from an applicant, express entry applicant with 420 points who doesn't know French, is not working in any targeted occupation, because you reasonably understand that that applicant is probably not going to have any chance to be picked in express entry. So why would you accept them as a client, right? But those consultations happen, right? The question is how many of those you have. So green consultations, that's the ones that clients that you want, whether they agree or not to work with you, whether they doing DIY or not, whether they requested a quote or not. That's a different question. Don't worry about that. But whether you want them as clients, you want that case and you reasonably believe that that case can be submitted to IRCC within the next 6 to 9 months. That's green clients. Now, we have orange clients who are future maybe clients, right? So maybe somebody needs to like retake their English and like reach their second year of Canadian experience. And then if they do both, then it's a reasonable chance they will be good for express entry. So I'm not going to take that client today because I don't know if they're going to reach second year of experience. And I don't know if they're going to really score the required score. So it's risky for me to take that client. But if they reach, let's say, in 6 months and 1 year, that goal, then I'm going to be able to take that client. So that's our orange, that's our future clients. And maybe that person will come back to me in 1 year, right? And then there are red clients. Red clients are people that you know that they reasonably don't have the case. Like they don't have the case is not good. Or maybe the case that is good is just something that you're not dealing with. Like, we don't deal with RCAP. Maybe it's a perfectly great client for RCAP, but I'm not going to go and start learning about it right now. It's not our focus of our practice. I would rather refer it away. So for me personally, that would be red client, even though for somebody else that would be green, right? Or maybe there are clients that you legitimately just like don't feel like it's a good fit working with. There are multiple reasons why red clients may be coming to us. So the question here of the fifth metric, let's go back. Fifth metric is green clients. How many of those you actually have? What is the percentage? So let's say you got 20 consultations booked in last month. So my question to you, how many out of 20 are actually green? So because if you have 20 consultations, but all of them are reds and orange, that means that you just conducted 20 consultations, but you never had a chance to have a retainer agreement because all of those consultations were never meant to lead to retainer agreement because all of those are not from your perfect clients, right? Now, if you had like, let's say 5 out of 20 consultations green, then okay, like it's 25%. It's not the best per se, but it's all right. And you got 25% of green consultations. So out of five, so then you have 5 shots essentially. Maybe out of 5 clients, some or 5 of those consultations, some requested a quote, some didn't request a quote. Those who requested a quote, some agreed to retain an agreement, some didn't agree to retain an agreement, right? And maybe you got 1 retainer agreement or 2 retainer agreements. Depends, right? But you want to track essentially those statistics. And you want to clearly know where you're at with each of them. And I can promise you that if you just start tracking it, your wheels will start turning. Your wheels in business will start turning because you will see gaps in your data. You will see that things don't make sense. And those are gaps. And you will know exactly what you need to do to correct those gaps. And that leads ultimately to higher sales, to better clients, to just better business and more lean business that ultimately leads to conducting actually less consultations, but getting more retainer agreements. If that's what you want, if that's the goal. Not for everybody, that's the goal. But for us specifically, our goal is to conduct as little consultations as possible that would result as many retainer agreements as possible. This can be one of the goals of immigration company. Everybody has their own setup on how they want things to work, depending on what they like to do. But all of these things are possible only when you have access to data. Because if you have literally no idea how your marketing works, like what things, like who is booking, who is a good client, and you're just getting up in the morning and winging it like literally every day, and your marketing looks like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, that may get you somewhere, when you're starting out, but that will not get you anywhere when you're scaling. When you're starting out, sure, throwing spaghetti at the wall should be actually your tactic, because throwing spaghetti at the wall in terms of marketing really works well when you're starting out. You're being scrappy, and that's great. But when you're scaling your business, you need to make it lean because you're just one person, and you need to um, put the least effort to achieve the most impact in your business. And really drilling down on data and drilling down on exactly how things are in your business. What are conversion rates? How do you increase conversion rates? How do you increase or decrease numbers in certain cases? How do you do things that way? That will lead to lean business. And you can really do that only by knowing your data. So those are 5 metrics that are very important. We are tracking, actually, we're taking it well beyond these 5 metrics, but I don't want this episode to be 1 hour. So I'm going to stop here, and maybe I'll do another episode on other metrics that we are also tracking in our business. And in our business container, I prompt my mentees also to track these things, because I truly think that that makes a huge difference in your business. All right. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, if you have any things that kind of came up for you as you were listening to this episode, please do reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can share your thoughts by posting about it on LinkedIn. I would be super happy to hear from you. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'm always open to chat on LinkedIn, and see you in the next episode.